The darkness of space tore open like fabric being ripped apart. First one ship appeared, then 10, then hundreds more. The Valthek Imperial Armada had arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system, their massive warships blocking out the stars behind them. Admiral Krevtok stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. His 4 eyes studied the small blue planet in the distance. He had done this 847 times before. Each time the result was the same. The primitive species would see his fleet, realize they had no chance, and surrender within days, sometimes hours. Earth looked peaceful from this far away. White clouds swirled over blue oceans. Green and brown continents sat quiet and unaware. Krevtok's data screens told him everything he needed to know. The humans had barely left their own planet. They used primitive rockets that burned chemicals. They had no shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light travel. They were divided into hundreds of small nations that fought each other over resources. "Easy prey," his second officer said, reading the same data. Krevtok nodded. "Prepare the standard ultimatum. We will give them 2 days to surrender. They will comply. They always do." On Earth, Dr. Hyun was working late at the International Space Observatory in Chile. He had been tracking unusual energy signatures for the past 6 hours. At first, he thought his equipment was broken. The readings were impossible. Nothing natural could produce that much energy. Then his screen exploded with alerts. 300 massive objects had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were moving toward Earth. His hands shook as he reached for the emergency communication line. "This is Dr. Hyun at ISO Chile. We have a situation. A big one. I need to speak with the UN Security Council immediately." Within 2 hours, every major government on Earth knew the truth. They were not alone in the universe, and their new neighbors were not friendly. Captain Jiho was pulled from his training exercise at the military base in South Korea. He had been practicing advanced combat maneuvers in the newest fighter jets. Now he sat in a classified briefing room with pilots from 20 different nations, all looking at the same impossible images. 300 warships, the American general said, his voice tight. "Each one is bigger than our largest aircraft carrier. They're heading straight for Earth. Estimated arrival in 48 hours. A French pilot raised her hand. "What do they want?" "We're about to find out." The transmission came at exactly midnight, Greenwich Mean Time. Every television, every radio, every phone on Earth received the same message. It spoke in perfect English, perfect Mandarin, perfect Korean, perfect every language simultaneously. "People of Earth," the alien voice said. "I am Admiral Krevtok of the Valthek Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain. This is not a request. This is inevitability. You have 48 hours to signal your complete surrender. Lower all weapons. Prepare your leaders for transfer of authority. If you comply, your species will be granted probationary citizenship. If you resist, we will demonstrate why resistance is pointless. We have conquered 8 to 47 worlds. You will be the 848th. The message ended. The world fell into chaos. People flooded the streets. Some prayed, some rioted, some simply stared at the sky, waiting for death to fall from above. World leaders held emergency sessions, but what could they say? What could they do? Earth's most powerful weapons were nuclear missiles. They had never been tested in space. They probably couldn't even reach the alien ships. But on the island of Jeju in South Korea, Dr. Minji was not panicking. She stood in a massive underground facility that officially didn't exist. Around her, technicians worked at computers, engineers checked weapon systems, and pilots ran through launch procedures. "How long until they're in range?" she asked. A technician checked his screen. 36 hours until they reach high orbit. That's when they'll be most vulnerable. Dr. Minji nodded. She walked through the facility, past the rows of sleek spacecraft that had been built in secret over the past 15 years. She stopped at the largest one, running her hand along its hull. The name Taeguk 1 was painted on the side. "Minji," she turned. Her brother, Commander Junho, walked toward her in his flight suit. He looked tired but determined. "Are we really doing this?" he asked quietly. "We don't have a choice," she replied. "If we don't fight, we become slaves. If we fight and lose, we die free. Either way is better than surrender." Junho smiled slightly. Mom would be proud. And terrified. "She'd tell us to win," Minji said. She pulled a data chip from her pocket. "Final weapons protocols. I uploaded them an hour ago, but this is the backup. The quantum cannons should phase through their shields. Should. We've never tested them against real Valtech technology. Guess we're about to find out. Similar conversations were happening in secret facilities around the world. In Nevada, in Siberia, in Australia, in Norway. 50 ships total. Humanity's last desperate gamble. They had been built using technology recovered from a crashed alien probe in 1987. For decades, the world's best scientists had been reverse engineering it, improving it, weaponizing it. The Valtech thought they were conquering primitives. They didn't know humans had been preparing for this day for decades. Dr. Hune sat in the UN building watching the countdown clock. 24 hours remained. The aliens had sent more messages detailing exactly how the surrender would proceed. Earth's leaders would present themselves. All military forces would stand down. Resistance would be met with orbital bombardment. Outside, the world held its breath. Admiral Krevtuk watched Earth grow larger on his screens. His fleet had moved into position around the planet. In a few hours, he would lower his shields and target major population centers, not to destroy them but to demonstrate his power. A few plasma bolts into empty ocean, maybe a mountain or two, enough to show them he could erase their cities if he chose. Then they would surrender. They always did. He didn't see the 50 small ships hidden in the dark side of the moon. He didn't detect the quantum stealth systems that made them invisible to his sensors. He didn't know that every pilot in those ships had trained for this exact moment. Captain Jiho sat in his cockpit, hands steady on the controls. Around him in formation were pilots from every corner of Earth. Different nations, different languages, different beliefs. But right now they were all human. And they were all ready to fight. Commander Junho's voice came through the communication system. All ships, this is Tagak 1, hold position. Wait for my signal. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today we show the galaxy what humans can do. The alien fleet moved into final position. They lowered their shields, preparing to fire their demonstration shots. They had made their first and final mistake. Dr. Minji watched from the underground facility as the countdown reached 0. She pressed the communication button. Junho, light them up. Commander Junho's voice was calm. All ships. Weapons free. Show them hell. 50 human warships decloaked at once, surrounding the alien fleet. For just a moment, the Valtech realized they had made a terrible error. Then the quantum cannons fired and the moment ended. The quantum cannons made no sound in the vacuum of space, but their effect was immediate and devastating. Blue-white beams of pure energy phased through the Valtech shields as if they didn't exist. The alien technology was designed to stop conventional weapons, plasma bolts, and kinetic projectiles. It had never encountered weaponry that could shift through solid matter. Admiral Krevtuk's flagship shuddered as 3 quantum beams struck its reactor core simultaneously. Alarms screamed across the bridge. His crew shouted in panic as power systems failed. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing everything in red. Shields are down. Weapons offline. We're venting atmosphere from decks 4 through 9, his second officer screamed. Krevtuk couldn't speak. He watched his tactical display as ship after ship in his fleet turned from green to red. Destroyed. Disabled. Gone. In 30 seconds, he had lost more vessels than in his entire military career. Where did they come from? He whispered. The primitives don't have this technology. They can't have this technology. Captain Jiho's fighter screamed past a Valtech destroyer, his quantum cannons firing in precise bursts. His targeting computer, designed by Dr. Minji's team, predicted the alien ship's movements before it made them. Humans had spent thousands of years developing combat tactics. Now those tactics were being applied to space warfare for the first time. Red Squadron, break left and hit their engine clusters, Jiho commanded. Blue Squadron, target their weapon arrays. Don't give them time to adapt. The human pilots moved like a school of fish, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. The Valtech fleet tried to respond, but their formations were designed for overwhelming force, not agile combat. They were hammers trying to swat flies, except these flies had teeth. Commander Junho piloted the Tagak 1 through the heart of the alien formation. His ship was larger than the fighters, equipped with enough firepower to cripple a Valtech cruiser. He selected his targets carefully, focusing on command vessels and communication ships. Minji, the quantum cannons are performing better than expected, he said into his comlink. We're punching through their armor like paper. From the Jeju facility, Dr. Minji monitored every ship's status. Her screen showed real-time data from all 50 vessels. So far, no human casualties. 27 Valthek ships destroyed, 43 more disabled. Don't get overconfident, she replied. They're going to adapt. Keep moving. She was right. Admiral Krevtok had survived 847 conquests by being smart, not just strong. He quickly analyzed what was happening. The human weapons phased through shields. Fine, he could work with that. All ships rotate shield frequency to Delta 7, he commanded. Redirect all power to point defense systems. Forget targeting their ships. Create a barrier of plasma fire. Force them to slow down. The Valthek fleet responded instantly. Thousands of plasma cannons began firing in all directions, creating a deadly web of energy across the battlefield. It wasn't accurate, but it didn't need to be. If the humans wanted to keep their speed advantage, they'd have to dodge. And while they were dodging, they wouldn't be shooting. They're adapting faster than predicted, Captain Jiho reported, pulling his fighter into a tight roll to avoid 3 plasma bolts. We need a new approach. Dr. Hyun's voice came through the communication channel. He was coordinating the battle from Earth's command center, feeding tactical data to all human ships. I'm detecting a pattern in their defensive fire, sending coordinates now. There are gaps in their coverage every 4.7 seconds when they recycle their capacitors. That's a tiny window, Junho said. It's enough, Jiho replied. All fighters sync your combat computers to the timing data. We go through the gaps. On my mark. The human ships fell back, regrouping at the edge of the battlefield. The Valthek commanders thought they were retreating. They were wrong. Mark, Jiho shouted. 50 ships accelerated forward simultaneously, their computers calculating the exact moment to dart through the plasma fire. They moved like arrows through rain, untouched. The Valthek didn't even have time to adjust before the humans were inside their defensive perimeter again. Quantum cannons fired at point-blank range. More alien ships exploded or went dark. Admiral Krevtok realized he was losing, actually losing, to primitives. It was impossible. It was happening. Send a distress signal to Imperial Command, he ordered. Tell them Earth is not what we thought. Tell them these humans are dangerous. Sir, distress signals will take 3 days to reach the nearest Imperial outpost. Then we need to survive 3 days. Krevtok's tactical mind worked through the possibilities. He couldn't win with military force. The humans were too fast, too unpredictable. But maybe he could buy time another way. Open a channel to the human ships, he said. On the Taeguk 1, Junho received the incoming transmission. This is Admiral Krevtok of the Valthek Empire. I request a ceasefire to discuss terms. Junho glanced at his tactical display. The human fleet had destroyed or disabled 127 Valthek ships. Only 173 remained combat capable, and most of those were damaged. The aliens were beaten and they knew it. Hold fire, Junho commanded to all ships. Let's hear what they have to say. The fighting stopped. In the sudden silence, both sides took stock of the situation. The Valthek couldn't believe they had lost so many ships so quickly. The humans couldn't believe their desperate plan had actually worked. Admiral Krevtok, Junho said. You came to conquer our world. You told us resistance was pointless. Were you wrong or were we? There was a long pause before the alien replied. We underestimated your capabilities. This was our error. I wish to discuss terms of withdrawal. We will leave your system and report to Imperial Command that Earth is not suitable for integration. Not good enough. Dr. Hyun's voice cut in from Earth. You came here threatening to enslave our entire species. Now you want to just leave? What's to stop the next alien fleet from trying the same thing? What do you want? Krevtok asked. First, you surrender unconditionally, Hyun said. Your remaining ships will power down weapons and shields. You will provide us with your technology, your star charts and information about other species in the galaxy. Second, you will deliver a message for us. Tell every empire, every power in the galaxy that Earth is not weak. We are not prey. And anyone who comes here looking for slaves will end up like you. Admiral Krevtok felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Humiliation, but also a grudging respect. These humans fought like nothing he had encountered before. They were clever, adaptable, and ruthless when necessary. I agree to your terms, he said quietly. As the Valthek ships powered down, humanity celebrated. In the Jeju facility, Dr. Minji allowed herself to smile. On Earth, people poured into the streets, this time in joy rather than fear. Captain Jiho and his pilots performed a victory flyby over the disabled alien fleet. But Commander Junho didn't celebrate. He studied the tactical data from the battle, running simulations. They had won because they had surprise, superior tactics, and weapons the enemy didn't expect. But the Valthek had said they were an empire. That meant more ships, more worlds, more enemies. Minji, he said over their private channel. We need to build more ships. A lot more ships. Already working on it, she replied. This battle proved we can fight. The next one will prove we can win a war. Dr. Hyun stood in the UN building watching the sun rise over Earth. They had survived first contact. They had proven humanity could defend itself. But he knew the truth. This wasn't the end of anything. It was only the beginning. 3 weeks after the battle, Earth had changed completely. The secret facilities were secret no more. Every major news network showed footage of the hidden shipyards, the advanced technology, the preparations that had been made in silence for 15 years. People were angry they had been kept in the dark, but mostly they were grateful to be alive. Dr. Minji worked 18-hour days at the Jeju facility, now expanded to 3 times its original size. The underground complex hummed with activity, as thousands of workers built new ships using the captured Valthek technology. The aliens had been true to their word, providing star charts, technical specifications, and detailed information about galactic politics. This is incredible, Minji said, studying a holographic display of the galaxy. There are 5 major empires, dozens of smaller powers, and hundreds of independent worlds. The Valthek Empire alone controls 847 planets. Dr. Hyun stood beside her, now serving as Earth's chief diplomatic officer. And they're all going to know about us soon. Krevtok's distress signal would have reached Imperial command by now. They'll be deciding what to do about the primitives who destroyed a grand armada. Let them come, Captain Jiho said. He had been promoted to wing commander after the battle and was overseeing the training of new pilots. We proved we can fight. We proved we can win one battle, Junho corrected. He had been studying the Valthek military records. Look at this. The fleet we destroyed was considered small by Imperial standards. The Valthek can field 10,000 warships if they mobilize fully. The Torvan hegemony has even more, and there are 3 other empires we know nothing about. The room fell silent. The reality was sobering. Earth had 50 ships. Soon they would have 100, maybe 200 if they pushed production. But thousands? That would take years, maybe decades. Then we need allies, Hyun said. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. If the Valthek are one of 5 empires, they must have rivals. We need to find them. On the captured Valthek flagship, Admiral Krevtok sat in a cell designed for human prisoners. It was too small for his frame, too bright for his eyes. But he was alive, which was more than he could say for 3,000 of his crew who had died in the battle. The door opened. Dr. Hyun entered carrying a tablet. Admiral, Hyun said, sitting across from him. I need your help. Krevtok's 4 eyes studied the human. You want me to betray my empire? I want you to help us survive, Hyun replied. Your empire will send more ships. We both know this. When they come, there will be more death on both sides. Unless we can find another way. What other way? You humiliated the Valthek Empire. There is no peace after that. There is only revenge. Hyun leaned forward. Tell me about the other empires. The Torvan hegemony. The Solkari collective. Are they Valthek allies or enemies? Krevtok laughed bitterly. Everyone is everyone's enemy in the galaxy. We all compete for resources, territory, influence. The Torvan and the Valthek have fought 3 wars in the last century. The Solkari remain neutral but trade with everyone. The Krell Dominion expands aggressively in the Outer Rim, and the Mexati Union tries to maintain a balance of power. So the galaxy is unstable, constantly on the edge of war. That is the nature of sentient beings, Krevtok said. You fight. You conquer. You survive. Or you die. Then let me ask you something, Hyun said. In all your years of conquest and all 847 worlds you've integrated, have you ever encountered a species like humans? One that built advanced weapons in secret? One that defeated you through tactics rather than superior numbers? Krevtok was quiet for a long moment. No, your species is unique. Most civilizations develop space travel, then weapons, then shields. They follow a predictable path. But humans developed weapons first. You made war on each other for thousands of years before reaching space. You are born warriors. Exactly, Hyun said, which makes us valuable. Not as slaves, as allies. You need someone who can fight the way we fight, someone who thinks differently than every other species in the galaxy. You want to sell your military services? Krevtok sounded surprised. I want to make sure Earth survives. If that means forming alliances, then yes. You go back to your empire. You tell them that Earth is willing to negotiate. Not from weakness, but from strength. We share our tactical knowledge. You share your technology and resources. Both sides benefit. Krevtok considered this. It was not what he expected. Most species begged for mercy or made impossible demands. The humans were offering partnership. I will deliver your message, he said finally, but I cannot predict how the Imperial Council will respond. Many will want revenge. Some may see the logic in your proposal. That's all I ask, Hyun said. 2 months later, the Valthek response arrived. Not warships, but a single diplomatic vessel. It carried an ambassador and a proposal. The Valthek Empire was willing to discuss a non-aggression pact. They would recognize Earth as an independent power. In exchange, they wanted human military advisors to help modernize their tactics. But the message also carried a warning. The Krell Dominion was expanding aggressively. They had attacked several neutral worlds and were moving toward both Valthek and Torvan territory. A major war was coming. They want us to join their side, Junho said, reading the proposal. More like they want to keep us from joining the other side, Minji corrected. This is a defensive move. They're afraid of what we could do if we allied with their enemies. Dr. Hyun called an emergency session with world leaders. The debate lasted for hours. Some argued Earth should remain neutral. Others said they should negotiate with all the empires, playing them against each other. A few wanted to reject all alien contact and focus on defending the solar system. In the end, Hyun made the decision that would shape Earth's future. We accept the Valthek proposal, he announced. But we also reach out to the Torvan hegemony and the Sulkari collective. We offer the same deal to everyone. Earth will share tactical knowledge. We will advise on military strategy. We will help defend against the Krell Dominion. But in return, we demand technology, resources, and independence. We are not anyone's colony. We are partners. Captain Jiho was one of the first humans selected to travel to an alien world. He would go to the Valthek homeworld as a military instructor. The idea felt surreal. 3 months ago, he had been fighting these aliens. Now he would be training them. Be careful, Minji told him at the spaceport. We're trusting them, but trust has to be earned on both sides. I know, Jiho replied. He looked up at the stars, visible even in daylight now that humanity knew what was out there. We changed everything when we won that battle. The galaxy was stable in its way. Now we've upset the balance. Maybe the balance needed upsetting, Minji said. Over the next 6 months, Earth's influence spread across the galaxy. Human military advisors worked with 3 different empires, sharing tactics and strategy. In exchange, technology flowed to Earth. Better reactors, improved shields, faster-than-light communication systems. Commander Junho oversaw the construction of Earth's growing fleet. They now had 200 warships, with more being built every week. Volunteers from every nation signed up to be pilots and crew members. Humanity was uniting in a way it never had before, brought together by the knowledge that they shared a common destiny among the stars. Dr. Hyun established Earth's first embassy on a neutral space station called the Crossroads. It was here that species from across the galaxy came to trade, negotiate, and spy on each other. And it was here that the representatives of the 5 major empires began to take Earth seriously. But not everyone was happy about humanity's rise. In the shadows of the Crossroads, agents of the Krell Dominion watched and planned. The humans had upset the galactic balance of power. They had made themselves important. That made them a target. The attack came without warning. A Krell strike force of 50 warships dropped out of hyperspace near Mars, bypassing Earth's outer defenses. They targeted the shipyards where humanity was building its fleet, aiming to cripple Earth's military production in a single devastating blow. Alarms screamed through the Jeju facility. Dr. Minji sprinted to the command center, her heart pounding. The tactical display showed the Krell ships already firing on the Mars orbital platforms. Explosions blossomed in the void as human defense stations died. Get our fleet moving, she shouted. How long until they can intercept? 15 minutes, a technician reported. The Krell will reach the main shipyard in 8. 7 minutes too slow. Thousands of workers would die. Dozens of ships under construction would be destroyed. Earth's military buildup would be set back months, maybe years. Do we have anything closer? Minji demanded. The prototype ship. The one you've been working on. Minji's blood went cold. The prototype was untested, still in trials. Its weapon systems were experimental. Its shields were theoretical. But it was also the most powerful thing humanity had ever built. "Wake it up," she ordered. "I'll pilot it myself." "Dr. Minji, you're an engineer, not a pilot. I designed that ship. I know it better than anyone. Get me a flight suit, now." 5 minutes later, Minji was strapping into the pilot's chair of the Vanguard, Earth's first attempt at a heavy assault ship. It was larger than the fighters, smaller than a cruiser, designed to be powerful and fast. The quantum weapons had been upgraded based on data from the first battle. The shields used Valtech technology improved by human innovation. She had never piloted anything more complex than a training simulator. Now she was going into combat against professional warriors. "Minji, this is insane." Junho's voice came through her comm link from the Taguk 1, still minutes away. "Wait for us. No time," she replied, initiating the launch sequence. "Those workers need help now." The Vanguard burst from its hidden bay and accelerated toward Mars. Minji's hands flew over the controls, her mind racing through the design specifications she had memorized. She knew every system, every capability, every limitation, but knowing and doing were different things. The Krell ships detected her approach. 3 of them broke formation to intercept, probably thinking she was a scout or courier. They would regret that mistake. Minji activated the advanced targeting system, the one she had spent 2 years developing. It didn't just predict enemy movements. It analyzed tactical patterns, identified weaknesses, and suggested optimal firing solutions. It was artificial intelligence designed specifically for combat. "Engage weapons," she said calmly. The Vanguard's quantum cannons fired. Unlike the earlier models, these were sustained beam weapons. They locked onto the Krell ships and didn't let go. Armor melted. Shields collapsed. Within 30 seconds, all 3 interceptors were drifting hulks. The remaining Krell fleet noticed. They recognized a real threat when they saw one. 20 ships turned away from the shipyard and moved to engage Minji. "This is going to hurt," she muttered, redirecting all power to shields. The Krell opened fire. Plasma bolts hammered into the Vanguard's shields. The ship shuddered and alarm screamed, but the shields held. Barely. Minji dove toward Mars, using the planet's gravity to whip around and come up behind the Krell formation. Her targeting computer identified the enemy flagship. It was larger than the others, probably carrying the commander. Take it out and the rest might falter. Minji pushed the engines to maximum, racing past Krell ships that fired desperately at her. She took hits. The shields dropped to 60%, then 40, then 20. But she didn't slow down. She couldn't slow down. She reached the flagship and fired everything at once. Quantum cannons, plasma torpedoes, kinetic accelerators. The Vanguard unleashed its full arsenal into the enemy command ship at point-blank range. The flagship's shields failed instantly. Its hull cracked open. Internal explosions rippled through its structure. It died, and Minji's shields failed completely. "Shields down!" Her computer warned unnecessarily. She was dead in space, surrounded by angry Krell ships. Her weapons had depleted their capacitors. They needed 30 seconds to recharge. She didn't have 30 seconds. Then the sky filled with human ships. The Taguk 1 led the charge, followed by every combat-capable vessel Earth could launch. Commander Junho's voice boomed across all frequencies. "All ships, protect the Vanguard. Let's show these Krell why you don't attack our home." The battle that followed was brutal and short. The human fleet outnumbered the Krell strike force 3-1. More importantly, the Krell had lost their commander and their will to fight. They tried to retreat, but the human ships pursued them to the edge of the solar system. Only 5 Krell vessels escaped. Dr. Hyun stood in the UN command center watching the battle data roll in. 45 Krell ships destroyed. 4 human ships lost along with 2 orbital platforms. Casualties numbered in the hundreds, not thousands. The Mars shipyard was damaged but intact. Most importantly, Earth had proven it could defend itself even without surprise or tactical advantage. "Get me a line to the crossroads station," Hyun ordered. "I want to speak with the Krell ambassador." The Krell ambassador was a tall insectoid creature with green armor-like skin. It looked at Hyun's hologram with compound eyes that revealed nothing. "The attack on Mars was unprovoked," Hyun said coldly. "An act of war against a sovereign power. We demand an explanation." "The Krell Dominion recognizes no sovereignty for upstart species," the ambassador replied, its voice clicking and harsh. "You aligned with our enemies. You made yourselves legitimate targets. You killed hundreds of civilians. You attacked construction workers and engineers. That's not warfare. That's murder. You destroyed an Imperial Grand Armada. You upset the balance of power that has existed for centuries. Did you think there would be no consequences? Hyun leaned forward. Yes, we upset the balance. We're going to keep upsetting it. Because the old balance was based on fear and oppression, the strong dominated the weak. The many conquered the few. That ends now. Earth will defend not just ourselves, but anyone else who wants to stand against empires that rule through terror. The Krell ambassador's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Brave words for a species with 200 ships. The Dominion can field 2,000. Do you really want to test your resolve against those odds? Actually, yes, another voice cut in. The hologram split to show a Torvan representative, its crystalline body gleaming. Then a Sulcari observer appeared, tentacles waving slowly. Even a Valthek official joined the call. The Torvan hegemony stands with Earth on this matter, the Torvan said. The Krell attack violated Crossroads Protocol. We cannot allow such aggression to go unanswered. The Sulcari collective agrees, the tentacled being added. We prefer neutrality, but we prefer order even more. The Krell Dominion has grown too aggressive. The Valthek official spoke last. The Valthek Empire recognizes Earth as an independent power under our protection. An attack on Earth is an attack on our interests. The Krell ambassador looked at each speaker in turn. For the first time, Hyun saw something in those alien eyes. Uncertainty. Fear. This is not over, the Krell said. The Dominion does not forget. The Dominion does not forgive. Neither do we, Hyun replied. After the call ended, Dr. Hyun allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. In just 6 months, Earth had gone from an unknown world to a player in galactic politics. They had allies now. Real allies, not just trade partners. But he also knew the Krell were right about one thing. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. On Mars, Dr. Minji climbed out of the damaged Vanguard. Her hands were shaking from adrenaline. Her brother Junho was waiting, his expression caught between pride and fury. That was the bravest and stupidest thing I've ever seen, he said. It worked, she replied. You could have died. But I didn't, and neither did those workers. She looked at the scarred but intact shipyard. We saved them, Junho. We defended our home. He pulled her into a hug. Don't ever do that again. No promises, she said with a weak smile. 8 months after the first battle, the galaxy was preparing for war. The Krell Dominion had begun a massive military buildup, positioning fleets along the borders of their territory. Intelligence reports suggested they were planning a major offensive against multiple targets simultaneously. Their goal was clear: crush the upstart humans and their allies before the coalition grew too strong. Dr. Hyun sat in Earth's newly constructed orbital command station, studying strategic maps with military leaders from 4 different species. The Valthek, Torvan, and Sulcari had officially formed a defensive alliance with Earth. The Mexati Union remained neutral, but provided intelligence support. The Krell will strike within 2 weeks, Admiral Krevtok said. He had been reinstated to his rank after negotiating the Valthek-Earth alliance. Now he served as a military advisor. They've assembled 2,000 warships. That's 80% of their total fleet. They're betting everything on one massive attack. What are their targets? Asked the Torvan commander, its crystalline body refracting the starlight. 3 simultaneous strikes, Krevtok continued. 1 against the Valthek colony worlds in the Outer Rim, 1 against the Torvan mining operations in the Beta Sector, and 1 against Earth. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Krell wanted to destroy humanity's homeworld, to send a message to the galaxy that opposing the Dominion was fatal. How many ships will attack Earth? Dr. Hyun asked quietly. Based on their force disposition, approximately 500. 500 warships against Earth's fleet of 200. Even with the improvements humanity had made, those were terrible odds. Commander Junho stood at the tactical display, his expression thoughtful. They're making a mistake. The same mistake they always make. They think overwhelming force guarantees victory. But strength isn't just about numbers. Explain, the Sulcari observer said, its tentacles waving with interest. The Krell are dividing their forces to attack 3 targets simultaneously. That's aggressive but inflexible. Once they commit to those targets, they can't easily redirect. But if we combine our forces, we create a mobile reserve that can respond to whichever target needs help most. You want to give up territorial defense? The Torvan commander sounded skeptical. I want to create a hammer, Junho replied. Let the Krell commit to their attacks. Then we hit them where they're weakest. Not at their targets, but at their supply lines, their communication networks, their command structure. We don't try to win 3 defensive battles. We win by destroying their ability to coordinate the attack. Dr. Minji had been listening quietly. Now she spoke up. We have something else they don't expect. The new weapon systems I've been developing. Humanity learned something from every battle we've fought. From the Valthek, we learned about shielding. From the Krell attack on Mars, we learned about sustained bombardment. Now we've combined everything into something new. She activated a hologram showing a sleek warship design. This is the Defiant-class destroyer. We've built 20 of them in secret. They're smaller than traditional capital ships but carry firepower equivalent to vessels 3 times their size. More importantly, they're fast. Really fast. They can be anywhere in the solar system within minutes. 20 ships won't change the odds significantly, Admiral Krevtok observed. They will if we use them right, Captain Jiho said. He had returned from his training assignment with the Valthek fleet, bringing with him dozens of alien pilots who wanted to learn human combat tactics. We don't use them as frontline fighters. We use them as a rapid response force. When the Krell attack, we hold our main fleet in reserve. The Defiant-class destroyers engage first, hit fast, then withdraw. They'll draw the Krell fleet out of formation, make them chase. While they're chasing, our capital ships hit their flanks. The plan was risky. It relied on split-second timing and perfect coordination. One mistake and Earth would be overwhelmed. I like it, the Valthek admiral said. It's exactly the kind of unconventional thinking that makes humans dangerous. The Krell will expect us to defend statically. Instead, we turn the entire battlefield into a trap. Over the next 2 weeks, the Coalition fleet assembled near Earth. 400 ships from 3 different species, combining their technology and tactics into a unified force. Dr. Hyun had been given overall strategic command, with Junho and Jiho leading the tactical execution. Dr. Minji worked around the clock making final preparations. The 20 Defiant-class destroyers were ready, each one piloted by humanity's best. She had also developed a surprise for the Krell, something she kept secret even from the Coalition command. If things went bad, humanity needed an ace in the hole. The Krell fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 500 warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Arrayed in perfect formation, they broadcast no demands, no ultimatums. They had come to destroy, not to conquer. Here we go, Junho said from the bridge of the Tegok 1. All ships hold positions. Wait for the Krell to commit. The enemy fleet advanced, moving toward Earth with methodical precision. When they reached the orbit of Mars, they split into 3 attack groups, preparing to encircle Earth from multiple angles. Now, Junho commanded. The 20 Defiant-class destroyers appeared from behind the moon, accelerating at speeds the Krell couldn't match. They screamed through the alien formation, quantum cannons firing continuously. Krell ships exploded. Others broke formation trying to target the fast-moving threats. Escorts break off and pursue, the Krell commander ordered. It was exactly what Junho wanted. 200 Krell ships peeled away from the main fleet, chasing the human destroyers. The destroyers led them on a merry chase through the asteroid belt, dodging and weaving, always staying just out of reach, which left 300 Krell ships still advancing on Earth. Still terrible odds, but better than 500. Main fleet engaged, Dr. Hyun ordered. The Coalition fleet, hidden behind Earth, powered up and moved to intercept. 400 ships against 300. Finally, the humans had a numerical advantage. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Human ships used tactics borrowed from ancient Earth naval warfare combined with technology that could bend physics. Valthek vessels provided heavy firepower and shields. Torvan ships used crystalline weapons that could pierce any armor. Selkuri support craft jammed Krell communications and sensors. Captain Jiho led a wing of mixed human and Valthek fighters in a daring strike against the Krell flagship. They dodged through walls of plasma fire, their computers predicting enemy fire patterns before the Krell even pulled the trigger. Jiho's fighter took 3 hits, his shields failing, but he kept going. He had one chance to make this shot count. His quantum cannons fired directly into the flagship's command deck. The Krell commander died instantly. Without central coordination, the Krell fleet began to falter. In the asteroid belt, the Defiant-class destroyers had led the pursuing Krell ships into a trap. Dr. Minji had positioned dozens of automated weapons platforms throughout the belt, all hidden and waiting. When the Krell ships entered the kill zone, the platforms activated. It was a massacre. Caught between the fast destroyers and the stationary weapons, the Krell escort fleet was destroyed in minutes. Escort group eliminated, Minji reported. Destroyers returning to main battle. The 20 destroyers, now joined by the combined fleet, fell upon the remaining Krell ships. The aliens tried to retreat, but it was too late. They were surrounded, outmaneuvered, and demoralized. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, 470 Krell ships were destroyed or captured. Only 30 escaped. The coalition lost 42 ships with many more damaged, but Earth was safe, and the galaxy would never be the same. News of the battle spread quickly. The Krell Dominion, which had terrorized the galaxy for generations, had been decisively defeated. Not by another empire, but by a coalition led by humans who had only discovered faster-than-light travel months earlier. Dr. Hune addressed the Galactic Council from Earth's orbital station. Today proved something important. Power doesn't come from the size of your fleet or the number of worlds you control. It comes from cooperation, innovation, and the will to defend what matters. The Krell thought they could crush us through intimidation. They were wrong. Any empire that tries to rule through fear will face the same fate. The Krell ambassador, attending remotely, looked defeated. The Dominion requests a ceasefire. We wish to negotiate terms. The terms are simple, Yun replied. The Krell Dominion will return all conquered worlds from the past decade to independence. You will reduce your military fleet by 50%. You will allow independent observers to ensure compliance, and you will pay reparations to every species you've harmed. These terms are harsh. They're fair. You started a war you couldn't win. Now you pay the price. Over the following months, the galaxy reorganized itself. The Krell Dominion, humbled and weakened, withdrew from dozens of worlds. Independent planets formed new alliances, protected by the coalition fleet. Trade routes reopened. Science and culture flourished in ways they hadn't for centuries. Earth became the center of this new order. The Unified Earth Command built embassies on dozens of worlds. Human military advisors trained alien forces in modern combat tactics.